Welcome everybody to another episode of another goddamn horror podcast. And
Sort
I'm
of.
sort
This
of,
is
yeah.
this
It's
is the
just
offshoot, right?
it is. We're doing a little to the side thing because Ryan, our esteemed colleague, Mr. Ryan Danley, is driving around California right now. He's doing his comedy thing out in California. I know that we'd stopped talking about the weather, but it's windy as fuck in the Bay Area right now, which is where Ryan's at. Like I was watching things online, like there was a high-rise building. It's the wind literally picked up a couch and threw it across San Francisco, like a whole
Are
couch.
you, are you sure it wasn't Ryan that
It
threw it?
might have been. Fuck. But yeah, it's apparently it's wild in the Bay Area right now. They were having tornado warnings and shit. Um,
Jeez. Well,
yeah,
we
just
miss Ryan.
craziness.
I wish Ryan would bring his couch throwing skills out here in New York.
Right, that would be fantastic. We're gonna have Ryan come over here.
There's lots of Oh,
He's gonna be
can you
coming
hear
to
me?
New York at
Yeah.
some point.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, that'll be fun.
me and Graham are here. We're doing a little music review episode
That's
for you
right.
guys.
We got friends in the business and everything. Shout out to Nikki Law. She's fucking phenomenal and she's breaking the law PR. She sent us this new album and honestly at first it was like dark progressive, right?
Yeah, that was kind of
And-
that's. I have a description for it that once we talk about it a little bit, once I get the
Okay.
description, you're gonna be like, oh.
So it wasn't, yeah, I'm excited for that. So it's Sermon, the band is Sermon, they're from the UK. The album is Of Golden Verse, and the band is led by a dude named Him. He's like masked and anonymous. It's just him and a couple collaborators, a drummer and another instrumentalist.
I fucking love bands like that, by the way. Like, I'm a Sleep Token fan, and like
Yeah.
that's the same thing with them. They got a masked dude that's just it's just who he is. Nobody knows who the fuck he is. I mean,
Yeah.
there's like, there's rumors and shit, but like, yeah, that's the thing. Shows up anonymous, skinned, anonymous, yeah,
Guar,
Guar, yeah.
more or less,
We love our anonymous musicians.
for sure. So yeah, it's progressive metal, but it has like a shiny goth cloak. Like it's wearing like a shiny goth cloak. I don't know. I'm a little like progressive. It's hit or miss with me a lot of the times.
Same
And
with
even
me.
if you make it spooky, sometimes that falls flat. This was sort of edging towards like sort of the dark wave type thing. I got some Unto Others in there, but that goth like cloak that they've got on, I really, really dug.
So as I was listening to it, this is what I got out of it. I got the goth part for sure. There was that goth cloak to it that was kind of like the overarching like film on top of it.
Right,
Was
like
goth.
like a cloak.
Yeah. So like, yeah, very much like it had that goth note throughout the whole thing. Now, as I was listening to it, first I listened to it not on headphones because I was a jackass and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to it without the headphones because I'm an asshole. And then I listened to it with the headphones and I was like, oh, there's a lot more to this album. Like, because the band, I'll tell you this right now, whoever's responsible for the initial concepts of the music, whether it's him or whether it's one of the other or collaboration of the band members or whatever, they're legit composers. Like, so if you put headphones on, you listen to the music, it's a vastly different album than if you listen to it without headphones. Like, there's all sorts of musicianship going on in the background that adds to the songs quite a bit. So you get like the gothy, almost industrial-ish like type of thing going on here and there. But here's what I got out of it. It's like the best parts of a Tool song mixed with a
Okay.
little bit of like a Devin Townsend sound. So,
Oh, that's interesting.
you know what I mean?
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like as I'm listening to it, because there's a couple tracks on there that are like 7 minutes long, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Which is kind of, that's kind of a prog thing. Like they'll
Yep.
put a track in there, it's like 7, 8, 9 minutes long or whatever. And that's usually where prog loses me. Because you'll have like a 7 or 8 minute track and it's like the middle just will be soggy as shit. Or
Yep.
it'll be a really good middle, but then like the beginning and end are just either slow or like the build sucks or whatever. Whereas with this album, those long tracks, they hit like a composer would write them. Like they started with that little bit of slowness. They hit that like not even a crescendo in the middle, but they hit like a good change in the middle. And then as it starts to taper off to the end, it never tapers off, but it does go to a conscious end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So that's why I got the Tool and Devin Townsend thing, because Devin Townsend is one. I mean, obviously everybody knows Tool. Like I think I probably just finished listening to Lateralis and it went from whenever it came out. But like, you know, they're just a long fucking tracks. And then Devin Townsend does the same thing where he'll have these tracks that are like 8-9 minutes long. But because both of those people are actual composers, like you'll see the beats in the tracks that make it work, which is kind of what Sermon did.
And Devin Townsend's Strapping Young Lad shit is just some of my favorite stuff.
Dude, I never would have guessed. If I would have listened to Devin Townsend first and then somebody was like, oh yeah, that was the guy from Strapping Young Lad, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Like, get out of here.
I saw them live with like Guar and Lamb of God and shit. That Sounds of the Underground. They were fucking awesome. But yeah, I think what I gathered from it is mostly him. Like he writes everything. And then I guess he even wrote like the drum parts, but then he'd bring it to the drummer and the drummer would be like, yeah, this is great. I'm going to try something different. And it would completely change the song and for the better. And he was always like, so like he super down for collaboration, but I'm pretty sure he composes and puts everything together. And I really appreciate like, so it started out with like an atmospheric, slow intro part. And that's all I'm very often, if that's how your album starts, I'm out already. You know?
Yeah.
Like I don't like
you don't like albums that start like a movie?
Not real. Sometimes I just like, especially if you're like metal and stuff, like I want like maybe a snippet from a movie or something to give an idea, you know, like I don't know. But they use this, they use the instrumentals and stuff and the atmosphere really well in between to break it up. Because once you get past that initial like minute and a half or so of the intro, it starts galloping with riff and it's so fucking cool. And I was like, oh, this is actually, there's like galloping metal in this. And I was like, all right, this is fun. And then Light the Witch is the second proper song. And that's my favorite on the album. Easy. That song is just a killer, and it's I think probably a little more accessible than a lot of their stuff. The other songs, say so. But yeah, but yeah, it's just fucking a killer. And
like if there was going to be a single off that track, I think it would be Light the Witch.
Like, I think it should. It went with I can't remember the first one, but they did, and well, so I'll get to that, but towards the end they did like 2 songs with like an intro or a interlude in between, and those 2 songs are fucking killer. I think it's Golden and Departure, and that just, and those are like long songs with the intro also, and it's just a great fucking epic finishing section of the record. I love that afterwards. So yeah, I forget where I was going, but yeah.
Well, no, it's like, so again, when it comes to progressive, it's like any kind of prog stuff, it's a coin flip. It's either going to be really fucking good or it's going to shit the bed.
Even within the same band,
right?
With me,
right? Yeah, and that's like, so here's kind of like talking about prog. I grew up during a time when Coheed and Cambria was huge. Like, I grew up in a musical time when Coheed and Cambria was like the shit. Like everybody was like, "Oh my god, Coheed's crazy." So like, I was never a huge fan of them, but then they had albums that I was a big fan of. Like they'll have an album here and there that fucking rules. And then like they'll have, 4 of them that are just not my jam. But it's also because with progressive, a lot of times you'll get bands that will do a shitload of concept albums or concept songs or like, stuff like that, to where it's like, that's part of it that I respect about prog, because even if it's not my jam, like they're taking chances on their music, which I think is cool.
They're not putting out the 9 to 11 song album that are 3.5 minutes each,
right?
All trying to get on the radio. They're like making art,
right?
Music.
Yeah, like that's a 14-minute song.
Coloring books.
Yeah. so with Sermon, like when first off, by the way, one of these days they're gonna send us an album that sucks. One of these days they are.
No,
but
I don't
not,
know.
you know,
No.
it's kind of funny because I know that like, you know, they're a homie and like we're reviewing an album obviously that they wanted us to review, but like it's a good fucking album. Like
It really is. I was really
every
excited.
single time she sends us an album, it's a banger.
Yeah, again, shout out to Nikki Law. She kicks ass.
Yeah, she knows her shit. And also like just the concept of what the band is and like their imagery and everything, that's right down our alley, you know. Like if you're
Yep.
into horror, if you're into the dark stuff, if you're into like real legitimately gothic progressive, that's kind of almost exactly what this is gothic progressive metal.
Yeah, and I read also somewhere that the first record, and it's sadder than this album, and you know they were like this album's more aggressive, and him literally said, "Well, I was sadder when I made that first album."
I love that. I love that explanation. I was in a worse place. I was in a worse place, and you know
they released their first album in 2019, played one show in Poland, and then all hell broke loose in the world.
Right.
So this is like their like return or rebirth, I guess. Sure. I don't know, but it's very cool. I super dig it. If you like dark progressive metal.
Also, I will say this, you know, maybe you'll agree with this as, you know, a person who has been in bands and been around music for what, probably your whole life. A band a lot of times can live and die by its drummer. Like, oh, yeah. You know, like if you have a couple of good guitarists or a good vocalist or whatever, if your drummer is not up to snuff, it can fuck the whole band up. And on the other hand of it, the rest of the band can be kind of, you know, weak. And then if the drummer is a banger, then, you know, you've got yourself a good sound. This band, I don't know who they are. I have no idea who the musicians are, but they work together very well. Like the drummer specifically though, like I'm a big nerd for drums. Like I think that's one of the reasons that I do like bands like Sleep Token and stuff like that, because the drummer shows up. Like they, you know, like you can listen to a track and be like, oh my God, like that drummer is ridiculously good. Where like when I was listening to this, I was getting the same thing out of it. Because as I was listening to it on the headphones, I was like, dude, the drummer in this band is going to town. Like he's really good, you know, which is something I like. Like I've always been a big fan of like individual instruments, which is why I like bands like Polyphia and stuff like that. Like the Guitar God sound, like it's not for everybody, but when I see somebody just sitting there chilling, just making a guitar cry, I'm like, fuck you for your talent, but also thank you for your talent. Like, yeah. I can sit there and listen to that forever. But when I was listening to this, that's what I was getting out of it, is that the whole band is good, but man, that drummer, he is nuts.
It's true. It's true. Good. And on that note, actually, Sanguisugabog's new record, I think is very good. I don't think it's as good, or it's not as I don't think they progressed as much musically and stuff. And I still love it. Like it's a fucking dope record, and I listen to it all the time. But it's mostly because of the drummer. I don't know what the drummer did this, and maybe I wasn't even paying attention to the first record, but like, holy shit. Yeah. The drummer in Sanguisugabog is doing some shit right now that's like unreal, and it's really making that kind of whole scene better take notice. So
I have a ridiculous amount of respect for metal drummers, especially.
And drummers are real hard to find, like a good one. Like, right. God, that's the hardest.
That's one of my favorite things to watch on YouTube, is just a drummer giving like you know, a performance like of a song that, like, you know, let's say it's a song that you know, or like a song that's like very popular for being like a crazy song, but then the drummer isolates it and it's like, let me show you what the fuck I do. And they did that a couple of times with Slaughter to Prevail. And like Slaughter to Prevail, like insane band anyway, but like, dude, their drummer, I don't know how that dude does not have like the biggest fucking legs and arms ever. I just don't understand it. It is a talent that I wish that I had, that I don't even have close to, and I respect it so much.
They're monsters with cardio. It's unreal.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, so this album, I would say this album is this one's a huge recommendation for me.
Yeah,
if you're into dark
absolutely. Absolutely. And just like metal that incorporates a bunch of different stuff in it. Like most of the metal I think we listen to is just a bunch of different aggressive music in a blender. And some people name it stuff. But yeah, it's super cool. I usually don't listen to progressive that much, and I've been going back to this record, especially Light the Witch. That shit rules. But 10 Danzigs.
Yeah, 100%. 10 Danzigs out of 10 on that one.
What else you got going this week?
So I sent out a single that I sent to you was from a new band that I heard when I went down a Kim Dracula rabbit hole.
Yes.
And I came across Deviloof, which is that one that I sent you. They're a Japanese visual kai band.
Yeah, that looked real cool.
Yeah, dude. And I went down a rabbit hole of what the hell a visual kai band was because I wasn't 100% sure. And there's this whole metal scene in Japan where they have these bands that have this face paint and prosthetics and like all this very horror centric type of stuff. And that band was nuts. They were dressed up like, you know, Billy Idol and like leather shit like that. But then their face paint was like, you know, Japanese demonic face paint. And like the sound was all over the place, but in like a good way. Like, you know, you had a little bit of speed metal, you had a little bit of emo metal, you had a little bit of, you know, a little bit of thrash in there. Yeah. So that was one that I started listening to. And then one of my favorite people in metal, Will Ramos, he did another vocal covering of a Sleep Token song called Chokehold. Because he's been doing these vocal covers of Sleep Token because he loves that band. And he does his own twist on them, but he sings them with clean vocals, which is the kind of thing that most people get shocked about because of what he's known for. He's known for sounding like a fucking goblin, like when he does his growls and shit, you know. But his clean vocals are wildly good. So he just dropped that one. It's really good. And it's actually, I would say like 90% clean vocals. And then like 10% he does the, you know, the harsh stuff. And so yeah, that just dropped. And I know he's kind of doing a thing where it's like if people really like those and he sees the views on them, he'll continue to record more because it's kind of just a fun thing for him to do. But he wants to make sure that, you know, he's putting his time into something that people actually want to listen to. So that's dope. And then I want to shout out another YouTube channel actually, because
cool.
I think this dude rules. Since we're talking about music, specifically this guy is a metal music guy. His name is Tank the Tech.
I like it.
He fucking rules. He's touring band tech. He does guitar tech, drum tech, all the stuff. And he's toured with just a shit ton of bands. And I think like what he'll do is he'll bring on a new track. Most of the time it's a track that he's never heard, or it's like a track sometimes from a band that he's never heard. And he'll break down the technical stuff. So like he'll tell you what guitars they're using, he'll tell you what drums are using, he'll tell you how they're pulling off a certain sound and stuff like that. So if you have some music nerd stuff, like he's the dude. And his channel's fun. He's a sweetheart of a guy. So yeah, definitely Tank the Tech on YouTube. He fucking rules.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if you've ever heard of the band Ohms. OHHMS.
I've heard of them, but I don't know them.
Okay, so like I've heard of them for a while, and it always seemed kind of proggy to me, like dark atmospheric metal. Not black metal or anything, just like I don't know, proggy. I guess I never really got into it. People were always like, "Ohms is amazing. You should check them out if you like metal." I guess it's like doom, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But it was okay. It never caught me. And then they released a single recently called the Mephisto Waltz.
Okay.
Or Mephisto.
I think it's Mephisto.
Mephisto.
Yeah.
Mephisto. And it fucking kicks ass. And it's like it's just straight up like death metal, and not even death metal, but just like fucking group. You'll love this shit. And then they did another song called Eaten Alive, and then I found out they're both from this album called Rot that's coming out soon. And the names of I'm pretty sure these are all horror movies.
Nice.
But the first one's tonight's feature presentation. And then 2 is Let's Scare Jessica to Death. I know that's one.
Right.
Eaten Alive, Blood Feast, Body Melt, A Dark Song. That's one, right?
Right. Yeah, that is.
So the Mephisto Waltz, Sisters, I'm pretty sure, and Swamp Thing.
Nice.
And so far,
some of
these
some
are all
of those
just,
are old schools.
Yeah. And so far, all the songs are just rippers, not nice. Prog at all. So I'm very excited about this because they're very good musicians and the songs are catchy as fuck.
Nice.
Like the hook on the waltz is like Roxanne, I found love with another man. And I'm like, is this a cover? Because it sounded so familiar, but like it's not. It's so good. Anyway, love that. I'm excited about that. MS Paint is a hardcore band that sound exactly like their name. Like Hilarious. It's hardcore, but like kind of some like bloops and stuff. And like
sure.
And then they did a song recently with Military Gun. It's on the new record. It's so fucking good.
Is it kind of like one of those bands that did like Nintendo where they did like the 8-bit sounds and shit?
No, but they're using like all the electronics and stuff, but not like Nintendo Core at all. Like more like, I don't know. You'll see. I'll send it over soon. It's
the reason
great.
I was asking is because like I remember when I first heard like the band Horse the Band.
Horse the Band was great. I love
that shit. And then like all of a sudden you hear like the beep boops in the background. I was like,
that shit was
actually
super dope. But no, this is more like used as like an instrument instead of like flourishes. I don't know.
Sure. So it's like an actual instrument and it's not just peppered in.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
The other thing, what was the movie I wanted to recommend is All the Blood and All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, which is a documentary. It just came out on HBO Max, and it is about Nan Golden, who was a photographer in the Bowery in the 80s.
Oh shit.
Very famous, hung out with like a lot of famous people, took pictures of a lot of post Stonewall queer culture. She was big with LGBTQ, HIV activism. And then she started Pain, which is pain or prescription addiction something now. But like it's to stop. It's basically it was to basically take down the Sacklers.
Okay.
You know, the Sacklers made all their money in what's it? Valium. And then kept going. But so she, through activism, just recently got all these like the Met, Guggenheim, like all these famous museums and schools to stop taking donations from them, and then later get their names taken down. So like through art, this woman is changing shit, and like it's so fucking rad, and it was so inspiring. And if you love art and activism and watching it actually work, fucking watch that movie.
Love that. I'm trying to think if I have any movie recommendations. Oh yeah, I do. So on Shudder, there's a movie and a sequel that are both foreign films that I finally watched, and they both fucking rule. It's The Witch and The Witch 2.
I have got those both in my queue. Yeah, it looks great.
They're both so good.
Nice.
I was really happy I finally pulled the trigger on those and watched them. If you're into Korean horror, it is Korean horror for sure. And it's spooky, it's nasty, paced really well. The sequel and the original are right neck and neck. They're both really good.
Love it.
And they came out within like 3 years of each other. Like one of them came out in 2019 and then the other one came out in 2022.
It looked like exciting too, like action packed almost, and like
there's parts of it that are for sure.
Yeah, it looked really fun.
And also because I do the whole home media thing every time, this one is one that I picked up from Best Buy. So it's the Mist. It's the Mist, but here's the thing. It's at Best Buy. It's cheap as fuck. I've only seen it at Best Buy. And it is the regular version, and it's also the black and white version.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. I watched the black and white version just for shits and grins, because like I remember when I got Logan and I watched the Logan Noir version that was black and white, and it made it like Logan's already a good movie. The Noir version made it so much better. Like for whatever reason, that's just the tone of it made it so much better. Dude, The Mist in black and white. Whoa.
Really?
Yeah, it's like it makes it feel so much more ominous than it already is. And it's already very ominous. So yeah, and it was cheap. It was like 13-14 bucks and wasn't even on sale. So like it's again, if you have a Best Buy in your area and you are digging Blu-rays, check and see if that's there because it just popped up there. Or I'm sure
that's fucking awesome. I didn't even know they did that. That movie is, we were just talking about this recently with like favorite endings and stuff. And that movie is one of the best endings of all time, I think. But like that story, The Mist, the book, it came in 4 seasons. It was like a novella. It was the first one. It was like a little over 100 pages, I think. I just remember reading that so many times. And that was by far my favorite Stephen King story. And I just remember that, like, the image of the giant monster walking over them towards the end when they're driving away finally. And they pulled that off in the movie and stuff. But that image will always stick with me. And that fucking movie is so cool. And in black and white, that might legit scare me. I remember when I finally saw the movie and the ending actually happened, I got up and was like, what the fuck? And like ran out of the room. I was like, that's not how it went.
Like, that's bullshit, man. Come on.
No, I was shocked. I was like, wait, did I misread this? What the fuck?
Yeah, dude. It's one of those endings that like, it's one of those stick with you endings that just like sticks to you forever. And like I've said this before, like when somebody requests a movie from me that will quote unquote fuck them up, I'm always like, you want your day fucked up, your week fucked up, your month fucked up? Which one do you want? They're just like, if it's a day, then I'm like, you know what? You can watch The Mist, but make sure you watch it all the way. Make sure you watch it all the way to the end,
the very end,
and it'll ruin your day. But you'll be happy that you watched it. Like. And that's also another one I will recommend just because it came up in conversation in one of our groups. Eden Lake, if you can find it on streaming, that's another one that'll fuck at least your night up. But
I think it's on Tubi.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. Really well done. It's like one of Michael Fassbender's first movies. So yeah, it's super good movie. But yeah, be ready for that one to tug on the emotional strings for sure. Aside from that, any other recommendations or anything, Graham?
No, I'm good. I'm gonna go watch The Challenge actually.
Oh yeah,
and Survivor. Yeah, it's competition reality trash night.
Yeah,
in the wasteland.
I've been playing WWE 2K23 for all day, so that's probably just what I'm gonna go back to doing.
If I had a video game I like, that's what I'd be doing.
Right. Also, real quick, I got to see an advanced screening of John Wick 4.
No,
dude,
you son of a bitch!
I'm not going to tell you any spoilers.
Why won't you take me to any of these?
Because I never have extra tickets. And it's always a bummer. But I will tell you this: if you like John Wick 1, 2, and 3, you're gonna fucking love 4.
Oh, gee, that's odd because I haven't seen a pattern where they get exponentially better,
dude. I didn't know if they were gonna be able to pull it off on 4.
When the first one came out, I was like, they just made a perfect movie. And then they announced the second. I was like, maybe they're gonna fuck this up. Nope. And I was like, wow, all right, they can't do this 3 times in a row. Holy shit. Like, all right, that's awesome. Good to hear.
And honestly, it's almost 3 hours long and it feels like it's an hour and a half long. Like it's one of those. It's
so exciting.
Yeah, it is a perfect action movie. So
is it the ending?
I'm not going to tell you anything
without
about
spoilers. All right, yeah.
I won't tell you shit on that. But
good. I didn't know if anything like has been announced by studios or anything. That's not really, you can't help that. But if there's storyline or whatever, I don't want to know.
They've hinted towards it in media stuff, but I will not tell you whether it is or not. I will tell you to go into that part of it blind.
Perfect.
Expect a John Wick movie like you have never seen before, because it's
God, I'm so excited.
It's everything that you love about John Wick and more. So yeah, it's fucking perfect.
Shout out to Aliel too, because I'm gonna go bug them to get me screening tickets for that.
Goddamn right. And thank you to our Patreon people, Army of the Goddamn. Thank you to them. For anybody that doesn't know, we do have a $1 tier, which is just your way of saying thanks for doing all this shit. And every little bit of that helps. I'm gonna start filming more Grindhouse episodes here real soon.
Awesome.
So you're gonna have a lot more of those. We also have stickers and patches and all sorts of cool shit. So that's gonna be part of it too. Do you want to throw the names out on that one, Graham?
I do. It's Jason Daniels, Jake Jolly, Ron Knobloch, Kristen Pearl, Manny Velazquez, Coleman Rosenberg, Drew Muldowney, Stephanie Gurley, Katie Wyking, Chris Fortune, Alan Graham, Bacon Bits the Cat, Angela, and Jasmine Pettit.
Y'all fucking rule. Thank you so much on
So
that.
much.
And next time you see us, we will have Ryan back with us, and he'll be back from windy ass California. And
Couch throwing.
We'll be happy to have him back. And in the words of Ryan, have fun. If you have any problems, hit us up. Like, seriously, the world's hard. So we'll always be to listen if you want to. But in the meantime, start some fires and break some glass.
And remake everything.
Remake everything.